All right, everybody, welcome back. We're here for another podcast today. I'm going to go over the game between the New York Giants traveling to the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to talk about how the Giants are looking offensively right now and what they can do to attack this New Orleans Saints defense after the Malik Nabers injury. So let's get right into it, guys. I'm going to cut that music. So when we look into this game, first things first is Malik Nabers is out. The Giants are underdogs here on the road, which I think you got to love taking like a teaser with the Giants here, +7, +3.5. I think they're going to win this game. Malik Nabers definitely hurts them with their wide receiver depth. But Wan'Dale Robinson has been playing really well. Skattebo has been playing really well. Jaxson Dart, which I'm going to explain more about how he's doing. He's been playing really well, all things considered. And, they got the win against the Chargers last week. And Nabers went down in that game and they still won. So it's going to be tough for them. But they have a few people they can pass to here. I'm going to go over the Saints offense in the next podcast episode here, YouTube video. But let's get right into it. The New York Giants, when they're on offense. Oh, and I'll also say I'm going to show you guys all my kind of teaser type plays I have to this point, things I'd consider across a few other games. But when we're looking at the Giants on offense, they have a 17th pass block grade. There's no injuries here for the Giants on their offensive line, which is a nice, clean injury report to read, at least for the offensive line. The Saints have the PFF's worst graded pass rush, and Chase Young is going to miss this game as well. He's not back yet, so that helps out the Giants. The Saints are bottom 12 in pressure rate and blitz rate. Chase Young is out, like I said, so they won't get that pass boost. And Jaxson Dart, let's talk about him. So he's been horrible in the limited sample size under pressure, and that was against the Chargers. But he's been bad against the blitz as well. But again, fortunately this week, he gets the Saints, who fail to generate much pressure or blitz. They're bottom 10, bottom 12 in those categories. And when Dart is not under pressure, so last week, when he wasn't under pressure, he had a top 10 PFF grade as a QB. And he had the top overall QB run grade on the season. So there's a lot of potential there. He can run with the ball. He can throw it if he's clean, which he should be. So I expect good things for the Giants offense. Their pass block is much higher than the Saints. Pass rush is rated. They have the worst graded pass rush. And also the Saints play a high percentage of zone defenses, as did the Chargers last week. And, of course, this should be an easier matchup with the defense that Dart's facing. So the key for him is avoiding pressure. And the Chargers are PFF's bottom 5 in pass rush grade as well, which is a little surprising, but they were ranked a little better pressure-wise than the Saints, 21% to 17%. So you'd figure this is still an improvement. And the Giants' pass-to-rush ratio is about league average is 60% to 40% with an average pass rating over expectation. So they should be pretty balanced here. And also looking at some of the QB metrics for Jaxson Dart, he has a quick release, but yet against the Chargers, he held on to it way too long. He took some bad sacks. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But because he should have more time to throw and he can run it, I think he'll be fine. He also has a low average depth of target, about 7 yards. So short, methodical, likely against the Saints zone. And like I said, he ran well against the Chargers zone defense as well. Saints, they have the worst tackling grade in the league. This helps Skattebo as well. He's running the ball well. He also has a 90-plus PFF receiving grade against zone. So, and that's because the Giants also are 10th ranked rushing PFF despite their 23rd ranked rush block offensive line. So a lot of good things are going here. And the Giants are ranked 19th in Pro Football Focus receiving grade. But, of course, the Nabers injury hurts a lot there. But all is not bleak in terms of their replacements. I mean, we saw with the 49ers against the Rams last night. These guys are NFL players. They have a lot of pride. Give most of these guys an opportunity in a good offense against a zone defense with a good quarterback who's delivering the ball. They're going to most likely deliver. And Wan'Dale Robinson so far has had a 23% target rate against zone. And that's about what Nabers had, and it's even higher PFF grade when you look at that. So I'm not saying he's better than Nabers, but I'm saying he's also good against zone. He's been good. He had a really big game against the Cowboys. So he lines up well here. Not only that, the Saints are DVOA's number one worst team against wide receiver ones. So that figures to be Robinson this week. I like him a lot this week. And you got Skattebo running the ball. He can catch it out of the zone as well. They both grade well against zone. And Nabers' targets have to go somewhere. So Robinson also is set to line up against Delonte Taylor, who was ranked PFF 59th out of 102 cornerbacks. So beatable if you look at it that way too. And the PFF coverage grade overall for the Saints is 19th. DVOA-wise, they are ranked 4th worst against the pass and 14th worst against the rush. And Cam Skattebo, they've been running a lot of outside zone runs, and the Saints have had mixed reviews against that. James Cook did pretty well against them last week, if you look at that metric. Slayton's getting less targets against zone, and his PFF grade is lower. So, and the Saints are more middle of the pack against wide receiver too. So I don't love Slayton this week, but he should get more volume. Theo Johnson, he has done decent against zone, and he had 5 targets last week and a touchdown. So he's definitely interesting. The Saints are bottom 12 against tight end. I don't love him this week, but if you wanted to take maybe like 2 receptions as like a teaser type prop with him, I think you could. I think he'll get some volume, a chance for a touchdown, but it's more so like it's just another weapon the Giants have on offense. So I feel like you could run it with Dart. You could run it with Skattebo, and those are pretty high percentage plays. You could throw it to Robinson against the zone. You could throw it to Slayton against the zone, which is okay, or Theo Johnson, which is okay. So you have a few options there. I think Dayball can get creative here for the Giants despite not having Nabers. And Dayball's been going for it at a top 10 rate, 27%. So it's good to see that aggressive play calling mixed in as well. And Skattebo also goes from having the 2nd-ranked run defense of the Chargers now to the 15th. So I definitely like that. And the Saints play at the fastest pace. The Giants play at the 15th. So this is probably an up-pace game for the Giants maybe. Get more plays in there. And hopefully if the Saints, make mistakes on offense, the Giants will get more run here. And the Giants, when they're in the red zone this season, they've had a bottom 10 touchdown percentage in terms of converting for touchdowns. Some of that was with Russell Wilson too, of course, and Dart only faced the Chargers defense. But the Saints are a top 10 in allowing opponent touchdown conversion at a high rate there. So this is definitely an up plus matchup for the Giants in terms of scoring touchdowns. And I think they have definitely some potential here. And like I said, the Saints aren't doing much defensively, and this lines up to be a really great matchup for the Giants offense. So we'll see what they can do. But I'm pretty confident that they can score 17 plus, 20 plus points against the Saints. I like Skattebo to get 50 plus rushing yards. I like Robinson to get 50 plus receiving yards. I don't see anything with field goals allowed. The Saints don't allow a super high amount, and the Giants don't kick a super high amount of field goals, so nothing really intrigues me there. But yeah, guys, I think the Giants as dogs here, especially if you can get like a teaser, 3.5 or 7.5. I think a lot of people might be thinking like, oh, Nabers is out, the Giants are done. which maybe in past years or with the way Wilson was playing at times. But with Dart, I mean, he's very dynamic. He's playing well. The Giants are methodically attacking zones. I think it could be sort of like San Francisco last night against the Rams, like just hit those short passes, run the ball well, move the ball methodically. I think they'll be able to put up 20-plus points here. It just depends on how the Giants' defense does, which I'm going to get into in the next YouTube episode. And we'll talk about how they look against the Saints offense and what we expect there. So, yeah, if you guys could please like, subscribe. I appreciate that. Trying to get some more views here on this. And honestly, I just do it for myself, too, to try to like help my own process when I make plays. In fact, I want to tell you guys some of the plays I have so far. If you look at my other videos, I had Rams minus 2.5 last night as a teaser. I was so pissed that they lost. And because I think otherwise I had like Nakua over receptions and receiving yards. But I think I teased those down as a prop. And I also had McCaffrey as well, a little bit with Jake Tonjes. So I had, Kendrick Bourne in the DraftKings lineup. So I dabbled around last night, but definitely sucked that the Rams lost. But that comes with the territory sometimes with this stuff. That's why you never do too much. You just kind of do it for fun. But here I go for the Vikings and Browns game coming up. I want under 45.5. I want Judkins 50-plus rushing yards. Maybe take 60-plus if you can. I think they're going to be confident here, and they're going to be able to run the ball like we had mentioned in the other YouTube podcast. And I like Jefferson 6 for 60. The only time he didn't clear that was against the Bears in week 1 with McCarthy, but with Wentz he has. It is a little risky, though, with that pass rush of Cleveland and the mounting injuries on the O-line for the Vikings, but we'll see sort of how that turns out. Wentz has been getting rid of the ball quickly. They have that advantage of being overseas again. But that game scares me. At first I was going to say, take Vikings plus 3.5. I think they'll win. But with all these injuries and with Dylan Gabriel giving the Browns some extra juice and hope here, the Browns could pull this off too. I think it really depends on offensive line. I think it'll be very similar to that Steelers-Vikings game, like kind of a close game. And then for the Dallas and Jets game, I really love that game. I like Aubrey over 1.5 field goals made. Pickens 60-plus receiving yards with touchdown upside. Remember, I had said how the Jets, or if you listen, they were one of the worst teams against deep passes. Javonte Williams 50-plus rushing yards. Breece Hall 50-plus rushing yards. Over 43.5 as a teaser, even though I think this should go over 48 or something like that. Garrett Wilson, 50 to 60-plus receiving yards, touchdown upside. He and Fields have been really good together against zones. As long as they don't get blown out in this game, like the Bills game, they've been able to produce those kind of numbers. And then Colts and Raiders, another great high upside game. I like 2 field goals for Schrader. Same kind of 2-plus field goals, for Schrader. Same with Aubrey for the Cowboys. Same kind of logic, like a team that's allowing a high percentage of field goal attempts and offenses that are humming. Like I said, Dallas, 4th passing rate over expectation, like top 5 offense, playing really well. And Jets not covering well. So I like the over in this game as well, 43.5. Raiders defense has been pretty beatable in the past game. Colts, they're doing everything right on offense. They run a lot. So I like Taylor for 60-plus rushing yards as a teaser prop. With touchdown upside, I definitely like that. He's getting a lot of the red zone work. And so I can also add this Skattebo 50, 60-plus rushing yards, whatever kind of makes sense there with the lines. Giants plus 3.5 or plus 7.5 as a teaser. And I'll tell you, one strategy I like to do is like if you take like a quarter or $5 for fun and you throw a lot of these plays together for like a giant parlay, they're hard to hit. So, you wouldn't put big money on that. But if you analyze all these games, right, you can always kind of take 3 or 4, maybe 1 or 2 things from a game and say, Jonathan Taylor's, the Colts are running at the 5th most rate. he should get his 60-plus rushing yards, or Pickens, he should get those 60-plus receiving yards. We're not asking for 100, even though he's shown that upside against, he's filling in here admirably. And I'd probably add Ferguson to that too. He's really been crushing it, so maybe 20 or 30-plus receiving yards for him. So I kind of like this approach, not getting too crazy, taking it as conservative as you can. And just sort of, at the very least, trying to do what you can, maybe a couple of these plays. If you're the type of player who plays with one strategy too is if you had $100 and you say, you know what, I just want to get plus money this week. So I'm going to take Brandon Aubrey, 2+ field goals and over 43.5 for the Cowboys and Jets game. It might not be huge odds, but it might be something plus 120 or something. And it's slow and steady wins the race, guys. And you're not going to hit these all the time, but just for fun, if you ever had a $10,000 bankroll, not in your savings account, but your fun money, if you ever hit some crazy parlay and had that or something, I wish I did, then, if you bet that for $100 or something, right? That's 1% of your bankroll. You can lose and it's not a big deal. That's the key here. But I think if you're going to bet, if you like football, you're going to play in a fantasy league, it's fun just to know these statistics and how these things work. Because I think most people just shooting blindly are going to hit 25% of the time. But if you're studying like this and you have a good way about it, you can maybe hit over 50% of the time, maybe 60% of the time with some of these teasers. The more you learn, the more you earn. But there is also a lot of volatility. Like the Rams last night, Kyron, he had a great game besides those fumbles. I mean, things like that happen. The DK Metcalf with the Steelers-Vikings game, that huge explosive play. Other than that, the Vikings probably win that game. So it's crazy. Have fun with it. And like I said, you do have a higher chance to, if someone told you, what's more likely to happen, Giants to cover 7.5 against the Saints or the Giants to win that game? Obviously, it's more of a chance if they cover the 7.5. And if you pair that with one or two other games, okay, Vikings and Browns under 47.5, which is more risky because we don't know about Dylan Gabriel yet. We haven't seen him in live action much, but that game you would think would be more conservative based on all the things we said. So, I mean, this is how you can pair it up, guys. It's boring and, you chase the money, not the feeling. And just have fun with it, guys. At the very least, even if you don't bet, hopefully you can appreciate this and the games and statistics. And I will try to cover the Saints game coming up next. Thank you very much, and good luck, everybody.